All
Thank
right,
you for the
man.
comments.
You're very welcome, and you're good to go, man.
That sounds good. Sounds good. Well, yeah, again, I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know there's a lot of things you could be doing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. However, just a little background info of what this is all about. We started shooting seniors really just a couple of years ago with very little market here, and everyone here goes through the school. It's just you're raised and you're understood that, hey, my senior year, everybody goes to the school and you get your senior pictures made at school. So we have to be very creative in a way that we market to make people understand that you don't have to go to the school, that there are other options available. So, we're really fighting we're climbing a big mountain here that a lot of people don't have to do. So it's all about education. And one of the things that really helped us in the very beginning was just kind of taking what they do at school and what a few of the other photographers did in my area and basically doing a 180 and going completely away from what they were doing. And this right here, this Glam It Up, this is something we came up with towards the end of summer last year that we wanted to put into place for this year. And we did a few of them, and it's just called Glam It Up. And it's an add-on to an existing session that we already do. And we're just looking for ways to set ourselves apart and get people really talking in our area, in our community. We're in a town of about 3,500 people, very impoverished, and the economic status is not really all that great. So we have to do way more work to get people to come here. And this is just one of the ways that we wanted to share with you guys, a way to kind of reinvent yourself each year, which is something that all of us need to be doing. And keep an open mind throughout this whole presentation, though. This is one of those things that, it may not exactly fit with you, but if nothing else, let it open your mind and knowing, hey, you know what? Maybe I can add on something to the existing sessions that I do, and maybe it's a way that I can bring in a little more revenue, have some fun, and just really create a buzz for myself. So if we're in a small little mill town of 3,500 people and we're really making this work, I feel really certain that you guys can do the same thing either on this level or a whole nother concept and idea. So we're just going to jump right on in here, and first of all, you got to give credit where credit is due. And PhotoBiz, no doubt that we would not be where we are right now if it were not for these guys. And if you get a chance, really, you need to immerse yourself in their new blog templates that they have. Everything it's kind of like a complement to your website, an extension to your website, if you will. And the good thing about their blogs is, prime example, it took me like 3 months one time to set up a WordPress blog. There was no one I could talk to, no one would help me, and even whenever it was almost finished, it didn't look anything like my website, so it was kind of a waste of time. But with these guys, they've got one-click template changes and customer service that you can call anytime, and they'll walk you right through everything. And like I said, it's just an extension of your website. You still have your same branding and everything. So if you were not aware that all that existed, you got to check that out. So big thanks to PhotoBiz for really making us look good. So let's jump in. Let's talk a little bit about posing before we get started in the glam session, because I've touched on posing just a little bit before with PhotoBiz, but I wanted to go a little bit more detailed into it, because a lot of people sometimes ask, Blair, where do you get your posing from? Like, where does all this stuff come from? And even though there's a narrow space in between my two ears where my brain is, it's actually full of a lot of useful information, believe it or not. So let's talk a little bit about the posing. One of the biggest things that I see people making a mistake of is not leading by example. If you want, let's take this for instance. You tell your senior, okay, I want you to come over here, turn your face to the right, put your left shoulder up against the door, put your right foot out, now bring your left knee across to your, that's just not going to work. You've got to lead by example, and I'll show you some of these in just a second. And by leading by example, that's how I get the poses that I want every single time, and that's how my work always remains really consistent. Practice your posing. Now that sounds kind of crazy. Why would you want to go out and practice posing? I'm not afraid to really put myself out on Front Street and look kind of like an idiot. So when I'm shooting a wedding or a senior or whatever, I will put myself in a certain pose that I think looks good, and if it feels right, then I know it's going to look good and it's going to feel right to my senior. If I just tell someone, okay, I want you to go over there and do this, I don't really know what that's going to look like because I don't know how it feels. So even for you guys out there, if you're a little hesitant on looking a little feminine or whatever, you got to get over that and just nail it. Do your thing. Practice your posing when you're at home by yourself. Make sure your wife's not there or your kids aren't watching, but practice posing and find poses that actually feel good and feel edgy and feel indicative of what you're trying to do. And we'll show you some poses here in just a minute too. Another thing that's really important about posing that a lot of people don't realize is on your PhotoBiz website, if you have random pictures that you don't really like or a certain area of photography that you're not really interested in, but you just feel like that's what's selling right now, why have it on your website? If you go to our website, everything on there, we're showing what we want to sell. So if we don't like doing really formal pictures and shooting on a white background or whatever, then I don't need to have that on my website. And that's something I struggled with early on. I thought that I had to put on my website what everybody wanted to see. Well, I completely got away from that and said, you know what, I'm tired of shooting sessions for these moms that come in and they're telling me, okay, this is what I want it to match up with this, and I want this, and I want this. Now they honestly show up and they say, you know what, I love the work that you do. What you have on your site is exactly what we want. So on your PhotoBiz site, you've got to jam that thing full of pictures of things that you really want to sell. And I'll show you where that's more important as we get into this a little bit. And another thing about posing is you got to carry out posing all the way through indicative to your brand. Favorite images of what you want to sell and get them to come up with some key words that describe what first comes to mind whenever they see those images. And whatever names they come up with or words, that's your branding, and you can't change who you are, so you own it and you figure out a way to make it profitable for you. So you really got to have those poses indicative to your brand. And another thing, how many times have you guys had a senior in a certain location, you're absolutely loving it, and you don't ever want to shoot any sessions anywhere else because this particular girl is just nailing every pose, the lighting is so good that day, and you just cannot make a mistake. And then you take another senior to that same place the next day, and you have just got like a brain clog, and you've got all this head trash going on, and you just cannot seem to remember those poses that you were nailing the day before. I used to do that myself, and I figured out a way to get around that, and I started naming all my poses. And what I would basically do is when I had a pose that I really, really liked, I would just figure out a way to make some sort of a name association with that. So let's just say I was doing a shoot up at PhotoBiz. I was shooting right there around their offices, and I did a pose that I really, really, really liked. Then I would name that I would say, all right, let's do the PhotoBiz pose. And I've named every single one of my poses that I go to, like on a go-to basis, and then I can always replicate them, but I can always tweak them just a little bit as well. So do that. Go through your work, and if you have favorite poses that you really, really, really like, just jot down a name for them. Even if you have to make a contact sheet or something, jot down a name for it, something that will help you memorize that certain area, that certain location, that certain girl, and it just helps you repeat them so you're not standing around scratching your head figuring out, all right, well, let's go over here and let's see. Me, I jump right into each one right after another, and that's how throughout a session I'm able to offer so many different looks. So extending on with posing. These are just some poses here that I can replicate every single time. If I have a girl that's kind of edgy and I know her style is really edgy, then I'll go with some more edgy posing. And I've just created little contact sheets, and I've been able to memorize these throughout throughout the past year. And when I talk about naming my poses, this is how elementary this is for me. So you talk about arms up. When I'm on a senior shoot, and I'll say, all right, let's see, this would be a good one for arms up. Now, to most people, when they say arms up, they're thinking I'm getting arrested or something crazy like that. Or at least a lot of my seniors around here. I told you I'm in an economically depressed area, so they're used to dealing with the police a good bit, unfortunately. Of course, that's a joke, so don't take that seriously. But arms up. I can do arms up anywhere that it's indicative or anywhere that I feel like that will fit. Now I've got arms up. Now for this next pose, let's do a stuck up. And this is just where hand on the hip, other hand down on the thigh, lean over, looking off to camera left. Or actually, that would be, yeah, camera left. Now I'll say, all right, I've got this girl in a tutu. Let's do like a hip and hold. So that's where she's going to put her hand on her hip, and she's going to hold on to something, and I can replicate that every single time. And now we say, let's go from here. Let's go with the legs up. I can replicate that. Legs up. There we have it. And in my folder here, whenever I first started doing this, I went through and I've probably got about 60 different poses that I can name off, and I can replicate them at any given time. And the cool thing is I extend these all the way through every section that I do, whether it's a child or it's a wedding or an engagement. I can still use these and just modify them a little bit. And then this year, I've got a whole great big handful of new poses that I'm adding to everything. So it constantly is making a change. So pay real close attention to your posing this year, and let's all make a really big concerted effort to not do the exact same thing that we did last year. And I'm not really telling you to go out and make these big changes and change the way you're doing things. The purpose and intent of this little webinar is just to let you guys know that, hey, we all need to make slight adjustments and continue to move in a positive direction and not be happy with what we did last year and just settle for that. So be happy with what you did last year, but leave a lot of that into last year, and let's pick up fresh. Right now is the time to be really focusing on some of that stuff and getting ready for this new season that's coming up. So the title of this was Glam It Up. And what we tried to do was we wanted an extension of a lot of the sessions that we do here in the studio, of something that if a girl really wanted something really different, then we wanted to have something available to do that, but I didn't want to make it all about the entire session being a glam session, because a glam session is basically, it's way different than what her normal everyday session that she's going to come in and get for her senior images. So if I shot everything as a glam session, the opportunity of mom buying a complete album or buying everything from a glam session is not going to be who she truly is. It's not what she's going to look like on a daily basis. So we always shoot the regular session. What we call our regular session is where she comes in her normal everyday look that she would wear to school. She might dress up a little bit as if she was going out on a Friday night. But it's truly who she is, and it's what mom wants to see when she looks in the living room and sees that 30 by 40 of her daughter hanging in the living room. It's not a 30 by 40 of her daughter glammed up with fantasy makeup and with her hair all wild and this wild outfit. That's not what mom wants to buy for her complete session. But it's an extension of a session that we can charge more money for, and it's an add-on. So it's an add-on to an existing senior session. So the senior comes in and they basically go through their regular session that normally lasts about an hour and a half, several outfit changes just like you normally would, and then this is an add-on. And basically, I'll kind of go in and explain to you exactly what it is, because when I say glam session, that could be a very broad term. It's basically where we have fantasy makeup. If you're not sure what fantasy makeup is, just go to Google and type in fantasy makeup, and it'll pull up some pretty wild images of some makeup. And I think with the rise of people like Lady Gaga and just weird people like that, I say weird people, I don't mean that she's weird, but you can interpret it however you want. She's made a whole new image for people, and it's making it a lot easier and acceptable for people to step outside of their comfort zone and be a little different. So hair and clothing, everything is really in a fantasy place here. And like I said, it takes place at the end of the session. The biggest difference also is glamour lighting. And glamour lighting can be pretty much whatever you interpret it to be. I'll show you what I use for glamour lighting here in a few minutes. And you can call it whatever you want, but it's a glam session, so I market it as glamour lighting. And the cool thing about doing these is we're going to show you how to make money with it, but when you're shooting these images, it's given me like a new boost of confidence knowing that, man, you know what? You're really capable of doing some pretty exotic images, and it also makes for awesome promo images. Now, these are images that I wouldn't have any other way, because I'm not going to dress someone up like this and go out and shoot it just for me, because, you know, it's going to take time, it's going to take money. But these promo images, I throw these on my website, and now all of a sudden I have my normal senior stuff, and I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see me doing that obviously, but I am really doing it. I can't do it without doing it. It just doesn't feel right saying normal without doing air quotes. But anyways, it makes for great promo images. When I put normal stuff on the website, and now I have these glam session images, now I'm appealing to two different markets. And in that market, it could be one person that's interested in both things. So how do you price a glam session? It's really based on the number of looks that they have. And basically, we kept it really, really simple, super simple. We only really wanted them to have two different looks. So follow me here, and we'll have plenty of question time at the end. So follow me here. They come in, they pay for their normal session. We do their normal session just like always, and this is an add-on to their normal session that takes place the same day. It's just right after we get done shooting their hour-and-a-half regular session, we go right into the glam session. So basically, we add on the cost of the makeup artist to the session fee, plus another hour's worth of studio time. So they're actually paying the makeup artist to come here. We've worked it out with a local makeup artist. She's an emerging talent that's really, really good. She loves, loves, loves the images that we provide her with for her Facebook. So now we're tagging her to all those images, and those are going to 4,000 of her friends. So it's super viral, and a lot of her friends are in the artsy town, you know, they're really artsy. They appreciate all this type of work that we're doing. So that's another extension of what we're doing. Where we go from there, I'll give you a quick example here. Let's talk about the session fee. The session fee for the glam session is $100, just a flat fee of $100. The makeup art, and these are figures that we're using. Now, in your area, your price might be more, it may be lower, but I'm just being honest and giving you guys realistic numbers of what we charge. I mean, I would like to sugarcoat it and tell you that we charge $350 for a session fee, but we just don't do that here. So $100 for the session fee, $95 for the makeup artist, and then we charge another $50 just for additional studio time. And that equals out to $245 that's added on to her session fee whenever she first comes in. Now, we have to explain this pretty much face-to-face with parents before they'll book this. But now that I have images to show, they're getting on board with it. And we've got a lot of girls for this upcoming year that are really interested, and the parents are on board, and everybody is really, really excited about it. So let's extend on into pricing a little bit. Remember, I told you there's different levels of it. So we wanted to keep it really, really simple. So we basically said, all right, level 1 gives you one look. That means that our hair and makeup girl is going to she's going to do your hair and your makeup in a really wild fashion, something that you would normally never do, but there is a minimum order of $200 if you do it. Because I don't want to do it, I don't want to go through all this stuff and them say, well, yeah, I just want like a 4x6 of that, because that's really cool, but you know, I can't really see me hanging this up in the house or anything like that. So I've got to make it worth my time. Now, for the girl that wants more than one look, we said, okay, we'll do 2 levels, 2 looks, but the minimum order goes up to $300. And again, guys, don't base these prices off, what you can charge in your area, because like I said, you could be a lot more, or you might be a little bit less. I don't know, but most people don't really share pricing with you, and I think the reason is a lot of the times they make it seem like that they're making millions and millions of dollars, and I just like to be truthful with everybody and just share with you exactly the truth. Now, makeup. Like I said, the makeup style is called fantasy makeup, and this is something that I thought, I've been married almost 10 years now, and I never thought that I would really be interested in talking about makeup. And don't get that twisted. I'm not really interested in makeup, but when I can make money from it, I have to educate myself on what in the world fantasy makeup is. Basically, it's just a high-end commercial exotic look, and the way that you create that, you have to find an artist in your area that knows how to use the airbrush. And that's how you get a really, really smooth look. And another thing, anything that you can add to it, like big false eyelashes and rhinestones, and the more accessories, the better. So hopefully it's kind of starting to make sense a little bit here, because it's a little bit hard to explain, but I'm trying to break it down in a way that hopefully everybody gets it. And again, just to recap, I'm not saying that maybe a glam session is not the right fit for you, but this is just an extension of what we're doing as a way to bring in more revenue and to get people in my community talking even more. Even if they're saying, man, I tell you what, that guy is crazy. He puts these girls in all this wild makeup and hair all crazy and puts butterfly wings on their eyes. Even if someone's talking that way, at least my name is coming out of their mouth. So I've accomplished what I want to. And it's just all about setting yourself apart and doing something a little bit different, a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and not being afraid to do it. When we first had this concept, I was like, that is crazy. That's way more work than I need to be doing. But once I did a couple of these, I said, you know what? I absolutely love this, because it gives me something to look at that I get really excited about that I'm not able to shoot on a normal basis. So as I was saying earlier, these are some of the looks. Like this, for instance, is Martha Stewart, of all people. Now, you wouldn't think that this is inspired by Martha Stewart, but it absolutely is inspired by Martha Stewart. We got this from Martha Stewart Living magazine, where she actually printed these things out on paper. It was a heavier cardstock paper. So these wings, you print them out on an inkjet printer. We cut them out, and we use eyelash glue to glue them to her face. And then these are just little feathers that we got from one of the local craft stores on her eyelashes, and you just very gently glue those to her eye with that eyelash glue. And taking that stuff off is really easy too. I thought it was going to be a pretty permanent thing. Where this poor girl was, she may have to wear these for a couple of days, but they pull right off. And most women or most girls her age they've had experience with that type of stuff. So I even glued them to my face afterwards so I could see what it was like to take them off. And I went to one of the local restaurants here with them on, and I definitely got quite a few looks being here in the South. So, but you got to practice what you preach, right? So let's move on from here, and let's talk a little bit about the hair, because if you do the makeup really exotic and really cool, but you leave the hair the exact same, then you really, it doesn't go. It's kind of like building a Ferrari and saying, you know what, I really like this Ferrari, but I'm going to save a little bit of cash here. Let's just put some cloth seats in it. It just doesn't make very much sense. So if you do one, you have to do the other. So your makeup artist has to be someone that can do makeup as well as hair. So the hair, either very teased, making the hair really wild and big, or a smooth look with a big bump on the top like we've got right here, works really well. This was this girl here, her name's Brielle, and this was her actual session, and she wanted to do this. We did 2 different looks for her, and the hair extensions are a must. If you've got a girl that's got really short hair and she wants to do something really wild, you can pick these things up at a local beauty supply store for pennies on the dollar. Think about hair up versus hair down. There's a lot of things to think about, and you can make these things as wild as you want to or as tamed as you want to. And when we're doing them, we just keep everything very appropriate, obviously, but we want to make it pretty wild because these are the images that this girl is going to want to put on her Facebook. She's going to immediately change her Facebook profile image to one of these. And just imagine a regular hometown girl putting this as her profile image. She's going to get hundreds of people looking at that thing, and she's going to have infinite amounts of comments. You know, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Where in the world did you go to get this done? And then she's going to share with them, because she's been educated by us, to say, well, listen, you know, go check out some of my regular senior pictures also, because they were awesome. But this is called a glam session. It's something new that he's doing. You can't get this from the school. So it's really important to educate your seniors as well, so that whenever they go out into the community, that they're actually working for you. And that's exactly what we do. We sit down with each one of these and kind of train them to become little salespeople for us. And clothing, that's probably one of the biggest downfalls. If you have a girl come in and she says, I want to do a glam session, and then she walks out with an Abercrombie t-shirt on, it's probably not gonna work out the best. So what we've done is we've partnered with one of the local dance studios, and we've gotten some old costumes from them, things that they don't really use anymore, and it's just a way that we can provide these girls with clothing that's really different, things they're not going to normally wear on a daily basis, but it's kind of like playing dress up. High contrast, lots of color, that's what you're looking for. You want something very wild, something very different, and like I said, not something that they're going to wear every single day, because that's for their normal stuff. You want something really different. And as I said earlier, you know, talking about accessories, anything you can think of. We've got down here like the birdcage veil. We use that a lot. Top hats, any kind of gloves, big-time costume jewelry, anything that you can think of to make it really, really wild. And I get a lot of inspiration from the internet. You know, if you go to fantasy makeup costumes, or look at what a lot of these girls are doing on with music, like Lady Gaga, and there's another girl, I can't remember the girl's name now, I'll think of it in a minute, Nicki Minaj. You know, I normally don't listen to a lot of that music, but just check out what some of those artists are doing. Look at music videos. I get a lot of inspiration from music videos, even music videos on YouTube. And just take note of lighting, take note of the outfits, and you'd really be surprised how it will motivate you into going out to a thrift store or somewhere and putting together your own outfits. It's actually a lot of fun, believe it or not. Now let's talk a little bit about the session time. As I said, the only way that this works is if it's at the end of a senior session. It doesn't work if she comes in and this is all she wants to do, because then that's all I'm going to be able to sell. And she's probably just going to be right around that minimum order. So what I want to do is, again, photograph at the end of the senior session. And you have to lay all the groundwork way before. You know, during your consultation or your phone consultation, you have to pitch all this stuff. And another good way to do it is make a short video that kind of runs through what a glam session is. So it's you in front of the camera explaining to someone what a glam session is. Throw in some examples in your little 2-minute video. That way, whenever people call and they ask about it, you can say, hey, give me your email address. I'm going to send you a link right quick to a video, and I want you to watch it. It's going to explain everything about it. That way it's something visual that they can see instead of something audible that you're trying to explain over the phone. Because if I was trying to explain to you what a glam session is, you may get a little bit of it, but without visual aid, it's going to sound like gibberish to a lot of people. Approximately an hour, that's about all that I want to work on, all right? Because each look should take no longer than about 30 minutes, and that's really with the makeup artist and the actual shoot. So the makeup artist, you have to work on her a little bit too before she gets there, and you have to say, listen, you know, we've got 15 minutes for you to completely change this girl into someone else. So, you know, you've got to pay attention to time. Time is money. Time is money. Moving on, with different lighting, this is where it really takes shape. Because you can put someone in glam makeup, fantasy makeup, and all these wild clothes, but if you're doing just regular lighting or no lighting at all, it can be effective, but it's nowhere near as effective as if you're using something that's really eye-catching. So I start off with a lot of mine with the ring light. And you can see here, it's a nice soft light that gives that little round circle around the pupil or the iris of her eye. And you can see just from this image here, she's got rhinestones that are stuck to her face. You can just peel those right off. These girls are absolutely loving doing this because it's giving them the opportunity to be someone that they're not, but to have so much fun with it. And 95% of these girls, when they leave here, they want to leave with this makeup, with this hair, because they want to go and like amaze their friends. They say, no, I'm going out to eat, or I'm going to a ball game, or I'm going wherever, and I want to stay in this, because they're going to freak out whenever they see me like this. So I use that ring light to start with a good bit. And if you're not familiar with a ring light, there's one called myringlight.com, and I've got actually a discount code for you that you can save a good bit of money. We've worked out with the guy that I bought mine from, and he sells them all across the country. It's probably the most effective and the easiest ring light to use that I've come in contact with. It's just a continuous light. You put it in front of your subject, you position it just the right way. I can help you with your white balance, your settings, and if you need any help with that, contact us through Facebook. I know they'll put up all of our contact information. I'd be glad to help you with that. And again, I've got a discount code for you, so if you're ever interested in one, now is the time. And I don't get anything from that, so it's not anything that I sell or none of that. I'm just trying to help you guys out. So use the ring light effectively for these. Now, probably my favorite part of lighting is the 3-light setup. This is probably one of the easiest lighting setups that you can do, but it's one of the most impactful lighting setups that I've found that I can create in the matter of about probably about 4 minutes or so. This image right here, this was taken probably 5:30 when the sun was going down, and as you can see, it looks like it's good quality studio lighting. And basically, it's just my 3-light setup, and I'll use this on all of my Glam Sessions because I want it to be consistent with one another, and I want to be able to replicate it very, very easily. And this is basically outside of the studio. I've got a large fenced-in area that I call my prop shop, and it's where I have tons of different sets that are one right after another, and it's my outdoor shooting area. So 3-light setup, here's a little diagram to show you guys how to do the 3-light setup. And probably the way I teach lighting is one of the most elementary ways that I can break it down and do it. I don't really use a light meter because it's just something that I don't feel the need for me to do it personally. So 3/8 power on and I use the Alien Bees outside with a medium softbox on the one that says 3/8 power. That's my main light, and that's just about 5 feet away from my subject on a 45-degree angle to the camera right. And I'll start that one at about 3/8 power. So my output is at about 3/8. There's a little slider that goes from 1/16 to full power. So 3/8, and then my 2 lights in the back, my kicker lights or my separation lights, key lights, whatever you want to call them, those are at 3/4 power because I want to create a pretty extreme ratio between the 2 lights. Now those lights in the back are raised up to about maybe 8 feet, and they're pointed down towards my subject. So 45-degree angle behind my subject, 3/4 power, and those are plugged into my Vagabond the same way that the one that's 3/8 power is plugged into my Vagabond as well. And I'm using my Vagabond on our light cart that's at our workshops page. So this image here, let's go back one. No, let's see. Yeah, let's go back one. Looking at this image here, you can see on her right cheek, you see the light that's separating her from the background. There's highlights on her left arm, and there's highlights on her right arm. Like I said, that's honestly, I mean, there's been a little bit of work done to that, but not much at all. No more than probably 2 minutes, and I can promise you that this 3-light setup is absolutely amazing. So there's the diagram again, if that helps anything. And like I said, just kind of recapping, great promo images. And the way that I know that it's great is this has worked for us. Sample prints in a salon. All right. Well, there's been other girls in the area that have seen these images on our website or either seen them posted on Facebook through the makeup artist. and they have contacted us asking us about those. And one in particular that we did recently, one of the ladies called and said, hey, who's doing this? What is this all about? I shared with her what it was. I said, you know what, let me swing by one day and just talk to you a little bit. I swung by one day. I went in. She had a really edgy studio, the type of place that we could market with. And I said, you know what? Let me do a senior-inspired shoot for you and all of your girls here, and I'll donate a 30 by 40 canvas gallery wrap to put up in your salon out in the waiting area. Well, she loved it. She loved that idea. So on one of their off days, we met in a very obscure location, and I used a 3-light setup. We did something really funky, really wild, and now that is hanging up in her salon, and we've got a great story for each one of those girls that works there to tell. It's a great conversation piece. It gets people talking about me and what I do, and they would have never known about me otherwise had I not taken one afternoon, donated a print, and now my work is up in front of hundreds of people per week. Another thing is that makeup artist website. Like I said, all those are great promo images for her. And then whenever we're doing our marketing this year, these are images that are actually on the forefront of what we want to sell. We mix these in, but I'm kind of throwing this out there as the forefront because it looks way different than what anybody else in the area is doing. No one else around here is doing anything like this, so it's very eye-catching, and it gets people interested. When they see an image like that, they want to click on it. They want to see, where is this coming from? They want a little bit more of it. So it's just a way to hook them, get them in here. I'm making extra money, and I'm really, really creating a buzz. And Facebook, I can't tell you guys just how important that is. I mean, we are killing it on Facebook every day. The more you pound stuff on Facebook, the more it becomes an extension of who you are. So don't be afraid to post something several times a day because it's just more exposure, more exposure, more exposure. Everywhere we go in this town, I've got people that I didn't even think knew what Facebook was. Even older ladies, they're saying, what's that so-and-so about? We've got a promo going now. It's called Cupcakes and Cuties. And they said, what is that all about? And I said, man, how does this older lady know about this? And it's just because she's on Facebook and she sees it every single day because we're slamming it on Facebook. So if you guys are ever interested, definitely check us out on Facebook. We're one of the few that, and I've met other speakers like this, but there's a lot of guys out there that, once their webinar's over or once their presentation's over, their work is done. They don't want to be bothered anymore. And anybody that's come in contact with us or that's ever met us or knows us, they'll tell you that we've got Facebook groups that we update and maintain on a daily basis, and every single day we have tons of questions that come in through Facebook, and we sit down and we answer every single one of them until the bitter end, until we help figure out what's going on and help you move into the direction that you're looking for. So don't be shy about asking any questions, guys, because we are really, really genuine people, and we really want you guys to succeed just as much as we want to succeed. So if you ever see us out anywhere, please, please, please come introduce yourself. We'll be friends until the bitter end. So everybody that we meet, we are really interested in creating a genuine friendship with them. We're very approachable. So definitely please check us out. And PhotoBiz, we've extended another discount code for these guys for our posing guides. So we've got our actual 10s that have all those poses in them that I was talking about with examples. Then you flip it over on the back, and it's actually got the psychology of what to explain to your senior to get them to nail these poses. And there's the discount code. You go to the workshops page right here that's listed, and we'll do that January 12th through the 9th, just as a way to say thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. And that's really going to probably wrap it up from here. I didn't want to go on and on and on forever, but I'm really interested in doing more of these little webinars with these guys because we have tons of new ideas, and we're always trying to push the envelope and just figure out a creative way to keep everything fresh and keep moving towards the future, because it's up to all of us to make the photographic world a better place, or you can just lurk in the backfield and just kind of hang around and be a poser, Or you can say, you know what, this year I'm going to be innovative and I'm going to put new things into place, and plain out, I'm just not going to suck this year. So let's just don't do that. So I'm interested if anybody's got any questions. I would love to answer some questions here, and if we run out of time, you know, I can definitely be reached through Facebook. So feel free to ask any questions that we might can help you with. And again, I really appreciate you guys tuning in for this. And hopefully you can walk away from here with at least one bit of information that can move you into a positive direction for this upcoming year. So I wish all of you the absolute best and the most success ever. So we'll turn it back over to Danny here, and we'll see if we got any questions.
Well, thank you so much, Blair, and thanks for taking time out of your schedule, Blair, and everyone else who attended today. And we're going to go ahead and move into some question and answer time. So first question, Blair, that I got that came up, had a couple people asking about that ring light again, and if you had that promo code, and also just what that website was again for that ring light.
Yeah, absolutely. It's myringlight.com, myringlight.com, and you have to enter in the promo code, or you don't get the discount, obviously. And everybody knows I wear my hair kind of crazy, so this guy picked one for me that was kind of indicative. It's kind of embarrassing a little bit, but I'm almost positive, I'm like 99% sure that it's Blair Hair, so BLAIR, and then 2011. I will, let's see here. If that doesn't work, I'll tell you what, why don't I post that? I'll post that exact, I'm going to make a note here. I'll post that exact code on our Facebook here in just a few minutes. So if that doesn't work, just feel free to go to our workshops page, and I'll post it on there for you. But I'm pretty sure it's Blair Hair 2011, and that'll get you the discount.
You do have some rocking hair, man.
Hey, if you're not working with much, you got to find something that people will remember you by,
That's right, man. Come on, man. Got to give yourself some credit.
Hey, a little bit.
A little bit, man. So moving right on. All right, so we're going to go on to our next question here, and let's see what we've got in here. So, all right, there's so many coming in, guys. Thank you guys for sticking with us throughout here. So let's see. Okay, this is just a question. Do your posing guides include any of your lighting examples? And where could you find more information about lighting examples if you offer that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. The lighting examples are not in the posing guide because we wanted to make these really short, really informative, so that it was just strictly a posing guide. And like I said, on the back of them, there's key psychological points, like little bullet points, to tell your senior, like, hey, think of it as this, or think of it as a cute guy over there. And when you have your shoulder up against you, you're thinking, hey, how are you? So there's not lighting diagrams in there, but we do have, and I don't want to, since you asked the question, I'll elaborate, but I don't want it to be like I'm trying to sell you guys everything, but we do have a senior book that's probably about 90 pages of everything that I can ever think of that I've learned or came up with that deals with senior photography, every aspect, all the way down to our lighting diagrams, to workflow, to everything you can imagine is in this book, and it's one of the most highly illustrative books that I've ever seen. We took about 8 months in designing this thing, and that has everything just about that you can imagine on it, and it even has some posing in it. Like I said, anything you want to know about our senior business is in that book. It's literally almost 3 years worth of material, and that's on our Blair Phillips Photography Workshops page.
Awesome.
So just go to BlairPhillipsWorkshops.com, and you can find all that stuff there.
Awesome. All right, and let me go into another question here for you guys. So let's go through here. Have you ever had anybody complain about the ring light in their eyes? That's just
Yeah, that's a good question, and I'll tell you, the way that we just got done shooting a video the other day teaching about this ring light, and the way that I do it, because the way for the ring light to be most effective is to have it obviously really close to their face, and it's normally only about 1.5 feet away from my subject. So what I do is I'll put it so that the end result is about a foot and a half away from their face. But I'll swing it around so that it's facing me. And I'll turn it on so it's facing me. And I'll just slowly, as I'm talking to them, over the course of maybe a minute and a half, just keep moving it a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer to their face. That way it's not like when you turn it on, it's going to burn out their retinas. So very good question. Just start it off so it's pointing you, and then just swivel it around in a circular motion so that it kind of like a door opening and closing. So you start with it open, and then you just close the door so that it ends up right there. Try that.
Awesome. So let's keep on moving right through these questions. So a lot of questions come in about camera settings on that 3 lighting setup, that one image you showed there. A lot of people were curious about that, Blair.
That's cool. Like I said, the way I do my lighting is really different, and it's really unorthodox. But it gets me to the same example and the same destination as if I was using a light meter and going through all that. Basically, what I do is on that particular image, I wanted to shoot that at about 5.6. So I set my camera to 1/160th of a second at 5.6 because that's where I wanted to shoot. That's how I wanted that image to look. I wanted to have a shallow depth of field, but I still wanted to make out what was in the background because there was a bank back there and some old cars and stuff. I didn't want them to be prominent, but I wanted them to be out of focus just a little bit. So I set up my camera at 5.6. I normally shoot everything that's outside on about a 200 ISO. So I set my camera, and I don't touch it from there. I leave it just like it is. And then on my lighting, I can take a test image at 3/8 power because I've been doing it long enough that I know that's about the exposure that I need. So I'll set my main light at 3/8, and I'll just snap a quick test image. And if my subject is too bright, then all I have to do is reduce the power of my lighting a little bit. If she's too dark, I just bump up the power a little bit. Now that sounds really elementary because it's really that simple. So once I get my main lighting the way I want, I'll run around to the back, and I'll know that my ratio coming out of those lights needs to be a lot stronger than 3/8 because those are about 12 feet away from my subject. So that's going to decrease the power a good bit. So I know I need to up the power a good bit on those. So I started at 3/4 power, and that's exactly where it needed to be. And don't be afraid to take a test image. That's why Nikon put that gigantic 2-inch screen on the back of your camera. Don't get hung up on it to where you're having to look at every single image for minutes on end. Snap an image. If you need to tweak something on it, take an extra second to run over there and adjust the power of that light just a little bit. And the same goes for whenever I'm shooting outside and I want that big, bright sky in the background. I want that nice, rich sky in the background. That's basically how I do it from there. I basically will point my camera to the sky, and I adjust my camera settings so that it gets my meter at 0, meaning that I'm going to be at perfect exposure for the sky. And then I'll even underexpose it by maybe a half stop or a stop and a half. And then I'll take an image of it and make sure that that sky is nice and dark. Well, now my subject is going to be completely dark. So now I have to come over and leave my camera settings the way they are, and I just move my main lighting up to like half power or 3/4 power, whatever I need to match the background. And then you have it. Lighting is really simple, and if I can give you any advice on lighting, do exactly what I did. Take your lighting outside one day, practice with it. Put yourself in an environment and have to work your way out of it. That's exactly how I learned all my lighting, and it's just by putting myself in that situation and learning how to make yourself get out of it. So don't wait until you're on a shoot to go out and figure it out. Go out and practice a little bit. So hopefully that kind of answers that question, and I elaborated on it even a little bit more because I used to struggle with lighting until I figured out a way to break it down that even I could understand it.
Awesome. And guys, if you have any more questions about, a bit more specific stuff on like camera settings and things like that, Blair's not lying when he says he answers all of his different questions on Facebook. So anything like that, please go check out his Facebook, become a fan, and leave him a message right there on his wall, and he'll definitely he'll definitely write you back. So I'm going to get into some more questions here, actually, about makeup and different things related to the glam session. So
Yeah.
what we had here, a couple of questions came in near the beginning. I'm going to scroll back up through them. So again, a couple people were asking, how long did you say an average glam session would generally last for?
Generally about an hour.
Okay.
About an hour, and to have about $225 in the session and the makeup fee, and then for me to be able to profit, a few $100s for an extra hour, and to create such a good buzz, I'm definitely on board for spending that extra hour. So generally about an hour.
Okay, awesome. And next question coming up. So how do you go about choosing the right salon or artist in your area? This is from Clark. They're saying, we have an abundance of hair salons in our town. So was it a personal, friend you knew, or, I mean, I know you like to network with everybody, and I'll stress that, just my 2 cents,
Yeah, for
Definitely,
sure.
definitely network. You don't want to get the reputation for being the photographer, like, that's living in their shell under a rock that nobody wants
Yeah.
to talk to. But yeah, you want to be outgoing and network. But how your connection with your makeup artist?
Yeah, Clark, the way I did that, man, was basically I went in my area and even outside of my area, and I just started looking around, and I found a salon that fit my brand. That, when I walked in, it made me feel like I was walking into my studio. They had rock and music going. They had people that were, they were dressed really sharp, edgy dressers. They had a lot of accessories on, and I wanted to make sure that was the type of place that I wanted to go, because we had like interests. So in other words, they had the clientele that I was looking for, and I had the clientele that they were looking for. And that was a really big selling point too. When I walked into that salon and asked to speak to the owner, I said, hey, this is the deal. I'm over here across town. I'm a young guy trying to make it, and I'm edgy. I've got the clientele that I think you could really benefit from, and I think you've got the clientele that I could really benefit from, and I just want to see if we can strike up some sort of a market share or a partnership. So you can't go to the salon down the road that does nothing but sets and perms, and your average lady in there is 78 years old, because that's not your target market. And you're going to go into some salons, and they're going to not give you the time of day. But one of the biggest things of advice I can give you is mock up one of these sessions if you have to. If you have to find a makeup artist that you have to pay out of your pocket to come in and do this, do it and shoot the images for it. Because unless you can show the salon owner what you're talking about, if you're just trying to explain it, it means absolutely nothing. You have to go in there with your iPad or some means of digital something that you can show them what an example of this thing is that you're trying to do. So, you can explain it till you're blue in the face, but without showing them, that would be my advice. Mock up a shoot, get the images that you want, find the salon that best fits your brand. And it may take you a few trips, to a few different places to get someone that will be on board with it. Even tell them that, hey, let's just do a trial basis. Let's see what happens here, and go from there, because it's allowing the salon to make money off the makeup artist. Hey, we're going to pay the makeup artist whatever your going rate is, but you're going to pass that right on to the customer. So just give it a try, man. You'll never hurt anything by going in and at least trying. Like Danny was saying, the more exposure you can get, the better. So the more times you can put your name out there, the better that you are.
Definitely, I completely agree with that. And a couple people, just a quick announcement. I don't know if it was from the traffic from everybody going at once, but a couple people mentioned myringlight.com had a couple issues, so I checked it out. And
Okay.
yeah, I think they might be having some server issues. Hopefully we didn't crash it, but I'll message I'll just message the owner, maybe let him know about that. And also, if you guys were interested in getting the recording from today to check out later, or you joined a little bit late, I am gonna post it to YouTube. I do have to, edit just a few things, and I'll put it on YouTube hopefully either by the end of today or first thing in the morning. So, yeah, that's not a problem at all getting those videos up there. And real quick, Blair, what was your imaging? What are you going to be speaking about at imaging?
Yeah, it's a senior program, so
Okay.
it's everything and anything that you can imagine that you would need to know, or that we do throughout our whole senior business. And like I said, guys, we don't hold anything back, and it's like one of those programs where it says, well, you know, we're going to show you this, this, and this, and then when you get in there, we show you just a little bit, and then we want you to buy everything. It's not like that at all. We are big advocates of PPA and keeping the dream alive, so it's our duty to give everything that we can. So a complete senior program that I promise you, you will not want to miss. And when you leave, you'll have to go back to your room and sit down for a little while because your head's going to be spinning with so much valuable information for sure.
Definitely. I know you always provide a ton of awesome information. So we're going to take just a couple more questions, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap everything up. So thank you guys for, again, joining us. Next question comes in from John. He's wanting to know, are you paying the salon directly? Are you getting like a kickback? Are they getting a kickback, or are you just paying that one makeup artist directly? And did they get that full $95 that you know, or are you guys working out a different kind of deal? How is that exactly working for you?
Yeah, John, every salon is going to be a little bit different, you know, and the way that we've worked it out personally is we pay that person that's coming out doing the makeup directly. Now, what they do with the money, I'm not really sure. You know, I've worked it out with the salon and said, listen, you know, this is what we're going to pay. We're going to write we're going to write her a check whenever she comes out, and we write the check to the girl that comes out because it's always the same one. So obviously they've worked out some sort of a deal. You know, I told them basically what we're going to pay. So I'm sure they've worked out some sort of a deal. But that's why I always go to the salon owner first, you know, and tell her basically what I'm willing to do. And then she lets me know how to handle it from there. So I write the check directly to the girl that's doing the makeup, and then, you know, they kind of figure it out from there, I'm assuming, because it, you know, it's never been an issue. So it's just case-by-case basis, man.
Yeah, definitely. The only way to really get some of that kind of, I think, information is just to, you know, work it out directly with the salon.
Yeah. Oh, and he asked too if we were getting any percentage of that or whatever. You know, I didn't want to. I don't want to be greedy and take a percentage of that $95. You know, you can do it however you want to, but I feel like that the price is already high enough, and I wanted to make it really advantageous for the girl coming to do the makeup, you know, to where, or the salon, that they're making a good bit of money for doing it. And it wasn't something like whenever I called and said, hey, you know, Shelly, I've got 4 for next week. You know, are you guys interested? Can you do them? I didn't want it to be like, well, you know what? He doesn't hardly pay enough to make it worthwhile, so just tell him we can't do it because we can make more money doing something else. You know, I wanted the morale to stay up, so by paying, you know, a little bit more, you're going to get a lot better service out of it.
Definitely. Completely agree with that.
Yeah.
So, and here's a question that I know you can easily answer. Do you shoot all your senior sessions at your studio, or do you go on location?
Yeah, I would say 99% is in a controlled environment, which is here at the studio. Now, I've got locations that are within about a half-mile of the studio. It's like a little circle that I can make, but most of my sessions, I would say 99%, are done here at the studio. And like I said, what I've done is out back of my studio here, I've got a large fenced-in area, and I've built a prop shop where I have several different sets that I've built myself out of very random stuff, and that way it's in a controlled environment, and I can go and shoot it anytime I want to, and I'm not having to load up equipment and leave every single session that I'm doing, because that becomes more work, you know, and I did that for several years early on, but it just got to be such a headache with loading equipment and driving away from the studio and then having to load it again and drive back to the studio. So I do everything here at the studio, I would say 95%.
Awesome. And let's just try and grab one more quick question, and then we're going to wrap everything up, guys. So, again, if you guys do have any more comments or personal stuff for Blair, definitely go check out his Facebook page. I'll put the link inside of the chat box one more time.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And then you guys can connect with Blair if you guys want to keep the conversation going. So
That's it.
let's see. And
Pick a good one, Danny.
I'm trying, man. You put me on the spot.
They're all good.
That's right. There are a ton of questions in here. I wish we had unlimited time, but
Yeah.
we're gonna get in one more. So
All right.
let's see. Okay. What type of softboxes are you using on the two kickers, or were they
Yeah, and
softboxes?
you know what? That is whoever asked that question. I really appreciate that because you helped me remember that I forgot something. On those two that are in the back, I actually used just a little small, like 6 or 8 inch parabolic reflector that comes with the light. So I'm not using any sort of modifier other than what comes with it. So there's no softbox. Those are just pretty much a raw, hard edge light. So I use the medium collapsible softbox on my main light, but the two in the back are bare bulb with the little silver parabolic reflector, and they're pretty much just a hard edge light.
Awesome. And yeah, we do have the coupon code for you guys. I'm putting it inside of the chat
Yeah.
box for my ring light. Oh, let me send that to everybody.
Yeah, and if you're having problems with that, definitely feel free to message us, and we'll try and get down and see what's going on. It's probably just because a lot of people were visiting the
Right.
site at one time. I don't think the guy, he hasn't quite wised up yet and got a PhotoBiz site.
Got to get
So
him on board.
I see. I know you got to do that. So we're working on him though. We're working on him.
You just let me talk to him.
There you go. That's it.
And
So,
Bonnie had a quick question, real quick. She said she would love to see you do a webinar on do-it-yourself mini sets. So your last
yeah.
webinar, I mean, you did show a lot of your sets in it. So Holly, I'm going to see if I can somehow recover that footage from our old webinar software and see if I can get it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I
And
mean, you had.
and if not, Danny, I mean, we can, maybe that's something we can do in the future, and I
I
can
would.
elaborate a lot more because I've got a lot of other sets that, that we didn't share. So maybe there'd be a need for that in the future that we could really help people out on. So we'll keep that in mind too.
Yeah, and if you guys like that, go ahead and leave me a note here in the chat box, and I can kind of get an idea because, there's a ton of you guys still in the webinar, and thanks for sticking all the way through here. And if you guys would love to see something like that, Blair has some amazing sets. We're both in North Carolina. Did get a chance to go to one of his workshops, see his studio, and I know I told you multiple times, Blair, but you have an amazing studio, and
Yeah, thanks, man.
your props, man. You're really creative.
Yeah,
Stuff.
it's growing up and not really having much of anything. When you get older, you say, hey, I didn't have much growing up, but I'm pretty good with piecing stuff together. So I just go and find random objects, that I think would photograph really well. And I guess I do have an innate ability of kind of throwing it together and building it with my camera. And the end result is a really creative set that no one else has. And I can use it for a couple of years. And when I get tired of it, I can basically throw it away or just recycle it into something else. So mostly all the sets are upcycled or recycled material that are virtually free. I mean, they really don't have to spend much money to create sets, and that's where a lot of people, they miss the boat because they feel like you have to have hundreds of dollars for all these new sets, and really, man, I'm pennies on the dollar type of guy. So just be creative, and when you're riding around, look for things that are, that people are throwing away or anything like that you can find that's very random, and ask them if you can pick it up. Say, hey, what are you going to do with this? Can I have this? And 9 out of 10 times they'll say yeah, and you can drag it back and make something happen out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, man? We'll work out the details, but I've gotten so many people in here just screaming, yes, we'd love to see that. So we'll work on
That's
that
cool.
for you guys, and I think
Work.
that's an absolutely great idea. And
Yeah, man, we can do it.
yeah, absolutely. So we'll work on that, guys. And I did have a couple people ask what exactly they keep hearing me say images. I think they're thinking, but we're talking about Imaging USA, and
Yeah. You there?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now. You're breaking up a little bit.
About that. So Yeah, I was going to say, you can probably hear, we'll probably explain a little bit more about
Yeah.
imaging, what exactly it
Yeah.
is. It's a big convention.
Yeah, imaging is PPA, which is Professional Photographers of America. That's a mouthful. That's
Yep.
basically it's an association or a sanction that any photographer in the U.S. you really need to join, because they have so many things that so many resources that they hand out, and there's just a lot of very valuable resources, and they have a lot of guidelines and a lot of benchmarks that we should all be upholding to an industry standard, and it's very informational, and they basically have, this is their #1 convention that they have every year, and it's called Imaging USA. Last year it was in Nashville, Tennessee. This year it is in New Orleans, and it's just a gigantic, gigantic trade show floor. I mean, I think last year they had like 2 or 3 buildings, and there's classes that go on all week with photographers from all around the U.S. that are, industry leaders, emerging photographers, seasoned veterans. They're even letting a no-name like me come and speak this year. So I don't know what's going on, man. But no, full of information. And if you ever get a chance to go to imaging, man, you really put that on your bucket list, and I can assure you that it will add volumes to your photography. So check it out. And again, if you get a chance, PhotoBiz, they're going to be demoing their new blogs that they have. So definitely swing by the PhotoBiz booth, give those guys a high five, thank them for what they're doing and putting this stuff together, and check out those blogs, man. They changed the face of websites. Now they're getting ready to change the face of the way people use blogs, and it's like I said, man, they freak me out, because it's like every month they have something that's new and unique and different. And we went and visited their offices, and I even wanted to go to work up there because it was very much like working for Facebook. Their offices are quirky, fun, very fresh, and these guys, they got it together, man. That's why I'm so proud to be a part of anything they've got going on. So big thanks to them again, and I look forward to seeing all you guys at Imaging, hopefully. And if you can't make it there, then make it somewhere. Make this year about making your work better than it's ever been. So get your butt up, get out there, and get motivated, and let's make something happen together. And stay in touch through Facebook. We've got about 4 people here that answer Facebook questions. I've got a great staff behind me, and I could not do it without them, so I got to give them thanks again. And Danny, we really appreciate all you guys from PhotoBiz and making us look good, and I guess we're probably going to be signing off here in a minute.
Yeah, well, thank you again, Blair, and we appreciate all the kind words. And thank you guys so much who are PhotoBiz customers, and Blair and all your team, and each and every one of you guys. And we really do care about everyone's feedback. So, anytime you guys have any feedback, please feel free to message me, about these webinars, about our products, anything else. You have any kind of questions, I'll be more than glad to help you guys out. And if you are going to be at Imaging, we'd love to see you stop by our booth, and definitely check out Blair when he's speaking. So, guys, thank you again for joining us, and same to you, Blair. We're going to go ahead and sign off here, and I hope everybody has a great day and has the best year yet for their business.
That's it. Thanks a lot, Danny. We'll be in touch, man.
All right, Blair, I'll talk to you soon. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.